Hello, everyone, and welcome to my monster sculpting and bobbling my head as I go. On today's episode, I'm going to be sculpting on a wood panel. It's going to be a little different than my normal, like, super three-dimensional stuff, like with a big old monster head and stuff. Instead of that, I'm going to be sculpting on a panel because I have a panel, and I'm taking a drawing that I did Wednesday night at my local drink and draw event. You may be able to see it right up there. It's kind of like a mind flayer or a lithid creature, and I'm going to sculpt and build on top of this panel. If you're in Facebook or maybe YouTube, it wasn't really streaming to YouTube, even though it's supposed to be, and I didn't want to mess around with trying to figure out why it's not sending over there right now. Or if you're on Twitch and you can hear me, will you post a comment so I can see the comment and make sure that you can hear me? Because before, on my test stream, I accidentally had my microphone muted, and that's not cool. I am in my print shop, so back there is a bunch of stuff. I've got a printer next to me, and I'm just going to get started with the sculpting. I am wearing these nitrile gloves, which is very important when you're using things like epoxy or Magic Sculpt. It's 1 part resin and 1 part hardening agent. I'm going to go ahead and get some of that out. I cracked it open for the last sculpt, so it should still be pretty fresh and pretty easy to take chunks out. And what you have to do is you have to get equal parts of the resin and the hardening agent and mix them together. I'm going to go ahead and grab this, and because just in case people are commenting in other places and they are not happening to show up in Restream, I'm going to pop over before my fingers get real messy with the Magic Sculpt and touch my mouse and computer and just double check it real quick. Oh, coming through Facebook loud and clear. Fantastic. Okay, awesome. Well, I am not seeing these comments. So let's see. Is there a way for me to pop this out here? It should be coming in. Show on stream. No. Oh, so now they're showing up there. But, oh, I see. Maybe. Nope. Why won't it show all of them? Nope. Okay, I'm just going to have to pop Facebook out separate. And maybe I'll see comments there. And let me see if I can pop out a Twitch comment stream as well, just in case there's anybody chatting over on that side. It should all be feeding through the same, but, you know, what can you do? Oh, that's not me. Yeah, I sound fine on Twitch. Excellent. So now how can I pop this out? Pop out. Nope. Pop out chat. All right. Boom. Now, all of this is supposed to be coming through Restream so that I can see all the comments at once and also share them on stream. But who knows? I'll figure that out another time because now I can sculpt. Wish you weren't driving to a convention right now. You'd love to watch the process and those sweet dance moves. Thank you, John. I'm the boss, Bob Ross of Monster Sculpting. Well, thank you. I got like a baseball size of the hardening agent. Now I'm going to get the resin. In this bucket, it's a black resin. Magic Sculpt makes resins with various dyes already built into them. I just wasn't paying attention when I placed my order. I don't really want it pre-dyed because it makes it harder to see when I'm sculpting on it, especially the darker it is. I want to see all the natural shadows and nooks and crannies that come in while I'm sculpting, but that's okay. I will make it work. So technology is supposed to make things simpler, but sometimes it makes it harder. It does, and sometimes I just don't want to mess with it. And I'm just gonna, because I just want to sculpt. But if I can share my process along the way, then I will. So I've got equal parts, right? I keep reaching down because I have my buckets down on the ground, and I just kind of want to set them on that, so I'm not setting them on my desk or on the printer or on the floor. I'm just gonna coil this out, and then I'm gonna mix the two together. Really, what you want to do is make it so that the two blend together seamlessly, so it's just one magnificent color, and there are no strands or striations of the two colors. The last monster looked great in black. Well, thank you. It did, but it's hard, especially on stream sometimes, to see the contrast between the highs and lows of where it is. Again, you can here see that there's the two colors, And now I'm just going to twist and blend that stuff together. And every now and again, I should probably pop into the YouTube channel and see if it ever starts streaming, just in case there's comments in there too. Maybe if I close the chat and reopen it up and restream, I don't know. No. That's one of the whole points of using this software, is so that not only can I stream to all these places, but it should also have the messages come through so I can have it all in one universal place. But what can you do? Also, especially with the dye in this, I don't want to be touching all over my keyboard and mouse like a fool, getting it all gunked up. You're really good at making snakes with sculpting things. Yes, that is what I have to do, at least at first, to blend it all together. I wonder if it's also maybe my internet connection down here, and that's the problem with Restream. I'm going to be dropping a hard line from the house to the print shop, I think, on Sunday, and maybe that'll fix that up, at least with the comments. And again, you can still see some of the gray in here, and I want to make sure that this is all blended nice and thoroughly. And this thing should come together relatively quickly, especially since it's on a flat surface, and I'm not going to build it up too much off of the surface. What am I listening to? Right now, I'm listening to Jurassic Park Feedback is the album, and the song is currently Work It Out. How are things your way, Marcus? Okay, now you can see that is pretty thoroughly mixed. I don't see any gray streaks going through, which means it's about time to start laying it down. So with that, I used my easel instead of, like before, we're working on the table with having the three-dimensional piece. I had to prop it up a little bit because my ceiling is so low I couldn't jack up my easel any higher than it was. What I want to do for this is I took a ping pong ball and I cut it kind of in half. And with that, all is good there. Excellent. I want to use that as this main eyeball. It'll give me like probably some of the furthest out as far as the depth of how far I'm going to sculpt out of this. And it'll give me a foundation to kind of build everything else around it and layer it that way. You did the same thing when you did the cast for your mouthpiece, rolling it out? Yes. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do another coil from that. And I'm going to just kind of put it around where I want that ping pong ball to set in. I'm going to just mash it down with my thumbs. If I really want to work it in, I will figure out where I put my spray bottle. Oh, all the way back here. Spraying it will allow it to smooth out real easy. Water is a good friend of the Magic Sculpt. Again, if anybody's using this, and especially using it for the first time, be sure to wear gloves and be in a well-ventilated space. Make sure you don't keep yourself in that area for too long. Let it cure on its own where you're not there. So I put that Magic Sculpt in, and I'm just going to mash this ping pong ball down inside. I'm going to start to blend the Magic Sculpt up into it to just give it a little extra grip. Especially, this stuff will start to set up within a couple hours, and over like 4 to 6 hours, it'll really start to firm up. I usually, once I get to a certain place with it, I want to sculpt with it again. Like I want to let it set up overnight, or at least like 10 hours or so. Is the ping pong ball going to be the eyeball or just standing? No, that will be the eyeball. I'm not doing glass for this one. A lot of the times I will make glass eyes and paint the underside and do that. But this, I'm just going to paint once it's done and probably put like a gloss on it, where I might put a matte finish on the rest. Okay, so I think now what I want to do is start to build out the tentacles, because that way I can then make the skull, the face build out deep, like further out once I get those in. So I'm not like building these up super far to the foreground, and then it feels like the face is recessed too much. So just going to grab some of the Magic Sculpt. Okay, before I do that, I'm just going to double check the YouTube again and see if somehow it magically started streaming there, just in case I'm not seeing the comments from that side. Nope. Okay, I'll have to fix that at a later date and see what's up. And also, let's see, I'm learning this stuff a little bit. Captions. Boom. Captions, hooray. And then go back to show the chat. There we go, even though it's still not showing the chat in there. Oh well. So I'm making coils. I'm going to do, because like in my drawing, this tentacle is the one that's further back. I'm going to start with that one. And I'm just going to get some basic Magic Sculpt on and know that I'm going to keep working it in. It's very odd. Most of the time when I sculpt on board like this, I'm usually doing it down, like on a flat surface. So it's a little bit odd doing it this way, but I wanted to be able to figure out a way to really capture the camera a little bit better. And you can already tell that this is going to be out pretty far from where it is. Don't forget to hydrate. Well, thank you, Brandon. I do have my water next to me. I took a sip right before I even started, and I've got the AC blasting on me. You can probably see the mini split AC unit in the wall. So I'm soaking in the moisture of the AC. I'm just gently mashing this down with my thumb, knowing I'm going to keep working it out. Get another little teeny tiny coil for the tip there. And then I'm going to start to smooth this out with some water just to start blending it in, and then I can start doing some sculpting techniques in it. Okay. Going to just smooth this out. One of the nice things, once Magic Sculpt dries, you can keep adding to it and just wetting it down and smoothing it out. And it can really make it look like it was all part of one consistent sculpting session. I can just take the back of my thumbnail and just use that as a flat edge to kind of harden it and build walls or straight lines. You know, as straight as it's going to get with a organic creature like this. But that way I can push it down off of the wooden panel and really start to form a ridge and an outline there. Because whatever you leave with texture in the sculpting is going to translate and going to show up in the paint job, especially if you do some deep grooves like I like to do, so it really has that contrast and allows the sculpting to do a lot of the heavy lifting when it comes to the paint job. So you don't have to be a great painter if you've got good details in the sculpt for it to really turn out and look pretty nice. And again, I'm just slowly moving it around, knowing that if I add more water, I can keep smoothing things out. Take a step back, figure out if I like the curve of the tentacle. Know that I want to move some stuff around, going to grab my microphone instead of the spray bottle. Just gonna, you could use a tool to do this. I just like using my thumb. I like using my hands as much as I can in the art because it just feels more personal to me that way. I am gonna come back and dip this in here. I want this to have a little bit more of a arc in that part of the tentacle. Just dipping up in here. And looking up at my wall, at my drawing, I'm kind of looking about where I want the cut line to be for the top side of the tentacle versus the underside suckery side. And with this, again, I'm going to wet it down because wetting it down makes it easy for my tools to move through. What tool do I want? I want one that's kind of like a little gardening shovel. It's got an angle to it, so it kind of gives a nice curve when it goes through. Gives it a nice lip to it. So I'm going to do that now. I'm going to stop bobbing my head. so that it will allow that to go in. Just one nice fluid, constant motion. Just smoothing it out a little with my hand. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a tool that is often used to put like a little bit of like a filler or filling in. And I'm going to use this to make little suckers in here. Just going in, going to do a little circle around. Ooh, I do not like what I'm doing there. Change in plans. I'm going to rethink that real quick. And I'm going to make a bunch of teeny little balls. And I'm going to put these in and jam right on top of where I just had it. Just tiny little round suckers that are going to go on here. And then I will go in and I'll do the same thing that I was just thinking about doing. I'll give it a little spritz of water. And I will go in here and circle it around like that and swoosh it around like that. Maybe push it down a little bit. That automatically starts to give it the little suckers. What's everybody else up to this fine Friday afternoon? And John, if you are already in the car, I assume you're heading to Chaosium Con. I hope that is fun and successful for you. That one was a little larger than I wanted it to be, but that's okay. I'm going to go ahead and put all of these in and then go in and do the little divots in it. That way I'm only spraying it with water that one time. I'll come back in, put some creases and lines into the tentacle part that isn't the suckery area. I'll just take a little while to, one of the things about doing little details like this, you have to just keep throwing them in. You were writing and I wrecked that with my plan to stream. Haha, foiled your creative process. That is not my intention ever. I always want people to be creative. Hopefully between now and the next time, I can get it where all the comments will come in and I'll be able to be like, boop, there's a button to click to allow them to show in stream. Rather than me just repeating everything so people watching can understand my reactions to stuff. Okay, I said I was going to wait until I got all the tentacles in there, but I'm ready to see some more divots. Spray it down with a little water again. And again, get the tool that's kind of like the little packing tool for dentists for putting in filling and stuff like that. I'm just making little tiny donuts in here. It also pushes this magic sculpt down into the other magic sculpt, giving it another anchor point and something to really grab onto. Got to make sure I get them all. Can't leave any out. And then time for some more suckers. And once I get all these little tentacles done, then we'll move on to the next one. Then the next one, start building out the head. This thing's going to come together super fast. Once you've done enough sculpting or drawing or anything like that, where you don't really have to think about it and you're just enjoying the process, that's the best. Once it's kind of like muscle memory. Anyone in the stream doing any gaming this weekend? I have a feeling that I'll be playing some Marvel United because when I was in Texas, I picked up a box of some Kickstarter exclusive minis for my son, and he's already started painting some of them, some of the more obscure characters. Since it's my weekend with the kids, I know that's one of the things, getting some good board gaming time in. And getting a hike in on Saturday as well. Although, holy crap, going out at lunchtime for my normal lunchtime walk with the dog, it was already very, very hot. Couple more little suckers on this. Maybe I need to make them a little bit smaller as they start getting towards the tip of the tentacle. Wife wants to go to the Native Plant Expo on Saturday. Is that locally in West Georgia? Daggemmit, and you've got a stream tomorrow for Kindle Obscura. Oh, that sounds fun. No gaming for me, just some writing. Excellent. Fantastic cyborg sesh. That sounds good. Brother's coming over Saturday to put your cabinet together, sorting your rock collection. Yes. Oh, it is in town. Okay. Oh, yes. I forgot about that. That's Saturday because there's also some art in the garden by some of the local artist guild members. I forgot about that. It's going to be a scorcher for that. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and put these little holes in here, these little circles, making these donuts for these suckers. Sometimes I just like saying the word sucker. This song has a long outro. Come on. And just easy going in, putting little divots in, little circles, making the donuts. Once I get these done, we'll start to put some other details and textures into the tentacles. And I will get back to, we'll use the other side of this. It's kind of like just a small piercing blade. Would probably do like D2 damage. Okay, I'm going to spray this again just to get it wet, because now I want to go on the other side. And I want to kind of go into where this divot is. And if it's not wet enough, it's going to start to drag the magic sculpt, and it will make it just kind of nasty and harder. It'll just look a little rougher. So I need to go ahead and spray that some more and get it nice and moist. But what this is going to do, it's going to create these creases inside of it that when I go to paint it and I use like a wash on it, it's going to fill into that crack and really add details very quickly. A lot of my sculpts have little lines like this just because it adds texture and details with just a couple pull lines on my end. Just a few more coming up this tentacle. Also, can I say tentacle too much? I don't believe so. I also need to put some suckers down here because it looks weird that there's no suckers just down there. And I guess this is kind of far away. Let's see what happens when I pop this up and start to come in so that you can see some of the details in there. I will do that in between each tentacle. But I had to put this other board underneath it just to prop it up so it could be at a decent height for me so I wasn't all hunched over and wrecking my back. Okay, a couple more suckers on this one, then we'll start on the next tentacle. As I continue on my sculpting quest, if anybody has any questions, concerns, thoughts about the process or anything like that, feel free to ask away or let me know. I'm happy to share any and all knowledge that I can, as most of this was self-taught. So just add those 3 for now. We may end up coming back in and putting a little more in here once we get the other tentacle in. I'm going to wait and see how that goes first. Again, turning these into little donuts. Now that I'm seeing them all together, I kind of want to pull the suckers into the tentacle a little bit more. I want to kind of give some lines and some of that into there. You were seduced by a lady making pottery at Comic-Con last weekend because she had tentacles? Yes, that is how things work. Tentacles sell really well. I used to make these tentacle wall hangers that were meant to meant for like towels or jackets, things like that. And I did a silicone mold and then cast them out of resin, and those would always sell well. Then the mold broke down, and I also just got tired of casting resin as opposed to doing one-off pieces. I always prefer to do one-of-a-kind things if I can, even though it's more time and effort. I just get so much more joy out of it. Just doing a couple of these where I give these some lines into them. I'm not going to do them all. Just pulling them in a bit. It also just adds a little bit of variety to them. Also might make it look like this creature has had some battle damage as well along the way, because this thing's older. It's seen some things. You prefer one-of-a-kind stuff, as do I. Okay, so now we are going to go ahead and do another tentacle. Same thing as before. I'm just getting some of the magic sculpt, and I'm going to slowly start adding it to the canvas board and mashing it down with my thumbs. I really need to figure out why it didn't connect. Although it sucks when one of your kind tentacles falls and breaks. Yes, that you're one of a kind. Yes. Tentacles sell really well. I can think it's an understatement. Yes, I think you're correct. Just going to check the YouTube again and see if for some reason it started streaming there. I think it may just not be going there. Nope, I don't get it. Oh, well, maybe I need to connect connect differently. Sorry if that light fell down in the way. Okay, again, just going to take some of this magic sculpt and press it down into the board. Now this is like a super cheap board. I think this is like a Jerry's Artorama or some super cheap Michaels one that I got a long ass time ago, and it's just been sitting on a shelf. So you can get boards that are much more rigid, but you can see that it has some flux and some give to it while I'm pushing down with the magic sculpt. But at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter because I'll want to frame it out and make it look nice and pretty anyway. I'm just going to mash more of this in, then I'll blend it in, and then we'll start doing the same thing we did with the previous tentacle once this is on here. Maybe I can figure out what's up with YouTube before the painting session begins. Also need to try and figure out if I can get myself on a regular schedule with this stuff, or if it's just going to be at the whim and fancy of everything else I have going on in life. Yesterday I spent most of the day, well, almost all day, working on the map of a space station, and it's still not even close to being where I want it to be. It's good, but it's just taking far longer than I thought. Okay, I'm going to spray this to blend it in and see if I want to build up more of it. Again, this is just water going onto the magic sculpt. And I'm just going to work my thumb in and just keep blending the stuff together until there are no crease lines, and so it looks like it's all one massive piece of magic sculpt, at least for this tentacle. You can see that the dye just kind of starts pulling the gray and starts smudging all over the place, making it a filthy mess. That's okay. It's part of why I wear an apron, so that I can wipe my dirty hands on it, my dirty brushes, all of the filth. Again, just smoothing things out. I'll come back in and add more water. Especially, I really want to make sure that this sets up and anchors into the wood. But that shouldn't be a problem. And I'm sure probably the next thing I sculpt will most likely be another three-dimensional full head. I want to do another head mount soon, but a larger one. So I don't know, does this mean that there's going to be like elithid type creatures in Vast Grimm since I'm sculpting something like this? Maybe it will just make it into Patreon. I don't know. You made 25 micron filters coming so I can try to filter my alcohol and get the printer resin out of it. Interesting. You made Vast Grimm. I thought you reveled in filth. Yes, I do revel in filth. You are not wrong. Okay, again, moving this around. Just using my fingernail to try and give it a hard edge along the top. I'm going to end up putting another sucker here or two just to kind of make that feel a little more connected. But first, let's define the line that's going to be the separation between the outside part of this tentacle and the sucker parts. Again, with this, going to get the one that looks like a little gardening shovel. I'm going to spray it down again. The spray. Even though it's glistening and wet already, I'm going to make it even more moist so that I can make sure that this pulls through nice and smooth. I'm referencing the sketch I did just to give myself an idea, but it's okay if it varies because I don't mind mixing things up and changing things from my original sketch. I did a nice little groove in there, and I'm just going to smooth it out with my finger a little bit just to soften it. And I think what I may end up doing once this dries, I may end up putting like a little bit of a ridge line around the suckers so the suckers don't feel as though they're so just kind of stuck on and it feels like they're actually coming out of something. Have you ever had to transport a sculpt in progress? In progress? It had yes, I have done that where it's hardened partial. Like it's hardened because once it cures and it's hard, it's fine to move around. But usually I will either when it's a head mount thing, I will secure the back of it to another piece of wood like a 2x4 and build that into a box around it. Other ones I've just kind of wrapped blankets around and had them with the heavyweight side down and transported them that way. Like I think one year I transported probably 3 or 4 sculptures up to PAX East in Boston, where I rented a car so that I could drive up and then fly back because I wasn't going to have anything on the drive back. So I just I did it that way, and that was delivering to a friend of mine that bought a handful of pieces from me for their cafe. But I did start a piece to give a foundation, I believe, for a few years ago. I did the mascot for Origins, where I sculpted it live on the floor of the convention. So I'd started the base of it at home in Georgia and then drove it up to Ohio, but it wasn't too far along, so it didn't need super protecting. I'm going to make these suckers a little bit bigger, just since they're a little more in the foreground. Give that forced perspective a little bit. Again, just going to take little balls of Magic Sculpt, throw those on there, then we'll turn them into donuts in a bit. That's a little too big. Or is it? I don't know even. Not even supposed to think about it. I should just do it. Just put it down. Just rolling it around in my fingers till I get a happy little ball, then drop it in as a sucker. Let's do a smaller one there since it's kind of going into the edge of the canvas board. I think it's about time to wet my fingers as well. As the gloves start to move down my fingers, it'll start to get wrinkles, and I want those nice and smooth to make it easier to do details that I want and not have the texture of the glove jump in and get in the way. If anybody uses Restream and has an idea as to why it wouldn't be streaming to the YouTube channel, feel free to spout it out. I do have to connect through an RMTP relay because I think that's what it, or RMTP, because I have weird permissions with my own YouTube channel because I threw something off a few years ago and have not been able to right the ship. And just gonna squish this little guy down there. Some of my favorite things to sculpt are things that I randomly sketch and just be like, oh, okay, I'd like to make that three-dimensional. And that's how this one came out. I didn't even know exactly what I was going to be. I didn't have any real plans for what I was going to draw at Drink and Draw the other night. I just saw my friend Ron Freeze drawing, and it looked like it was going the way of an ellipid. So I was like, okay, I'll start drawing circles and see where that goes. What is it about tentacles? Why do folks love them? I don't know. You were exclusively on Twitch and posted the clips on YouTube afterwards. Sorry, technology and software sucks. Yes, it certainly does. Back to the tentacles. I do not know. There's something terrifying about them, perhaps. Yet they also, it's like they want to give you a hug. So, I mean, hugs are nice. Anybody else theories on why tentacles are so popular? I think with this one, before I start putting the details into that tentacle there, I think I am going to build the lip up after I get the donuts of the tentacles made, of the suckers. They probe and they're slimy. Okay, I think you're answering your own questions, Marcus. Octopi are incredibly smart and basically immortal. Okay, there's that. But generally, don't we fear things that are smarter than us? I mean, most people anyway. Little tiny sucker down at this end as we're getting towards the end of this tentacle. Okay. Haha, yeah, but I wanted to hear my thoughts. Okay, that's fair. So we should be more scared of them than we actually are. Yes, I think we probably should. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and start making these donuts. Since these are bigger tentacles, I'm making the holes in them bigger. Just quickly spinning it around. Makes it super fast, super easy. As you can see, even with just a short amount of time and having to blend the Magic Sculpt together, we can get a fair amount done. I'm sure within a couple hours, this sculpture will be well on its way to completion, even if I mess some things up along the way. Needs more water. Must spray it. Make some noise. Okay. I think after this tentacle, I'll mix up the tracks and take a step back. Make sure that I'm going to be doing the lip how I want before I start doing the details on this tentacle. Okay. Take a step back in just a second. Okay. Nope, wrong one. Okay. There we go. Take a step back for a second. Take a look. If Restream is giving an error for YouTube, that may help. You may just have the RMTP or stream key set wrong, or I may need to make a new one. Yeah, I may need to make a new one because it's what connected earlier. So it should be connecting fine. Okay, what I'm going to do, I'll bring it up close and personal. Bringing it in. Whoa. So what I'm going to do now that we've got these suckers in here, I'm going to build up a lip ridge around here before I put these textures into it. And with this, I just need to make a nice long coil, make it thin, and we're just going to pinch it out and blend it in. And it's okay if there's cracks, and I need to pinch it a little bit along the way so it's not so round. Make it more like a flap of skin. End it right there. And I'll use my thumb at first and come back in with a tool on the inside. Or maybe I'll just start blending it in. Okay, I'm going to blend it now. Blend it now. Just taking a flat side of a tool and just smoothing the magic sculpt into the other, and then I'll come back in with my thumb and really smooth it out. And then we'll come back in and add some details. And I may go ahead and do that up here in just a minute just to have it in there so I don't forget at some point. Their connector may be broken. I just tried to link YouTube and it failed. Oh, damn. Well, thank you for doing that. Just kind of blending that in. Then I'm going to smooth it out again with my thumb so those deep rivets aren't in there. I'll pull some lines. Oops, wrong one. Pull some, nope, oops, wrong one. I want to use the consistent tools from thing to thing so that I have a similar line weight basically as I'm doing these lines and textures into here. I like going the other way though. These are similar lines that I do in all of my things. It's okay if there's little rips and tears. That just adds personality and character to this tentacle, although I do need more water to give it softer. Okay, so now that that's got some good texture to it. We're going to do the other one up here, and then I'll take it off and show it to you again. I like now how this is kind of coming up off of it, so it definitely gives it less stuck on feel and more like it actually belongs. Okay, again, I'm just making a super thin coil. I'm going to flatten it out for the most part. And I'm just going to start to build that up here, and then we'll blend it in just a minute. And then I'll connect to the already cut grooves. Good side. And then we'll end it right about there. I'm going to go ahead and spray that down with water, get it nice and wet, and then take this knife and just kind of pull it in and blend it in. And that's just smoothing it in so that my fat thumb doesn't wreck everything. Once that's all nice and smooth in, then we'll come back and add those lines back in. It's so lonely. All right, with that in there, we're going to grab the one that's kind of like a nice thin, straight line. I'm just gonna come in, try and add those lines back in, probably rebuild some of the ones that I covered up and broke when adding that extra lip. All right, we've got that. I'm going to show you, and then we are going to move on to the third tentacle. Coming in up and come in with some detail, let it perhaps focus. So as you can see, there's now like that lip around the tentacle area, also especially up here. So that'll start to come together well once the painting comes in. We'll do this tentacle, then we'll come in and start to build out stuff around the eyes and then start to build out the rest. And I think with like the head and the stuff around the face, I think I'm going to start putting in some kit bashing stuff, some like chunks and pieces from like Gundam models, because I want to give this a little more sci-fi-ish feel and a little less organic feel. So it has some other bits and bobbles in it. Holy heck, that's cool. Hey, thank you. See how quickly it comes together? So fast. We're going to do the same thing with this, and super simple techniques that I've used. Like, you know, if you look up real close on it, it's not, there's nothing super detailed to any of it. Again, going to take some of this magic sculpt. I want this one, the one in the center, to be the, well, no, I want this one to be the one in the foreground. So we're going to build this up even more. I am going to jam it in here to try and follow along the line that I decided for like the face part, just so that I can make sure I kind of follow that when I go to build it out. Because even when looking at drawings, sometimes I forget what my initial intentions were. Hey, thanks, Adam. It's good to see your face, at least in the picture anyway. So just going to keep building out the magic sculpt here. And a little up here, then we'll just blend it all together. Another happy third tentacle. I do want to make this a little heavier up here to bring this, pull this to the foreground, especially since this one comes up a little bit more and this one kind of recesses back. I hate that my left ear keeps disconnecting, but that's okay. Happy little squigglies. Yes, they are happy little squigglies. All the better for infecting you. Going to put a little bit up in here in this hole. Then we'll spray some water on it, smooth it all out, and start to build out the tentacles. I'm almost out of the initial batch of magic sculpt that I mixed up, so we'll at least get this tentacle done. maybe build out a little bit around this eye and then have to mix up some more. A little bit more down here. Beef that up a bit. Okay, you see all these cracks and things in here. We're going to go ahead and spray that with some water and smooth it all down. Blend it all together. Also mash it into the board that this is being sculpted on to kind of anchor it in some more and really make sure it sticks, because I don't want this thing popping off and once it's all nice and done. And now is where I need to try to make sure to avoid mashing my thumb into details that I've done in other parts of the sculpture, because that is a thing that I tend to do. But as you see, doing the tentacles first was really important so that when I start building up the face of this thing, that I don't have it sink too far into the background, because I don't want to really have a sunken in face look to it. I want these to be coming out of it, but still, this is probably going to need to be on an even higher plane, at least the muzzle of this piece. Again, more water, because you can always keep adding water to allow it to keep smoothing down while it's pliable. And I'm trying not to break off the edge here, because I will do some sort of framing around this. And if I break it before the frame is in, it makes it much harder to put together. As much as I like this song, it's depressing as can be. So we're going to dry off my hands real quick and jump to a different playlist. Okay, let's go to my normal 90s dance party. There we go. Some details in here I want to smooth out. Normally I'd use my thumb, but I'm going to smooth it with this first and then come back in with my thumb or my finger. Sometimes all of my fingers are thumbs. Scraping some stuff around the edge, getting some of that off of the wood. Okay, now it's time to figure out the line of where the tentacles will be, or the suckers will be. Oops. Again, spraying it down, making it moist and easy for the lines to go through. What made you decide to move into the print shop? More space, less interruptions, so that this can sit and cure, and then I'm not breathing it in while I'm working on other stuff. That's the whole reason to do the art in here versus in there. At least the sculpting part anyway. Okay, again, using the little tiny shovel, gonna just start to pull the lines as to where I want the suckers to be. Yeah, so when I was doing sculpting a lot, like when I was streaming it a lot, like 7-ish years ago, maybe it was around that. I think it was around that time. I was sculpting big monsters right here, and then I was turning, and I was just sitting on my computer all day and doing my design work and stuff. And breathing this stuff in really wrecked my sinuses. I had to have major sinus surgery where they went in and cleared everything out, and it was terrible. So I try to sculpt either outside or in here, and then I walk away, let it all cure up, and then come back to it at a later date. I was sculpting outside when I was sculpting. Most of my sculpting from last year was all done outside, but that was mainly because I didn't have the print shop yet. And, you know, in Georgia, outside, even in the summertime, even with fans blowing at me, I would just have sweat rolling down me. And then at one point in the back end of the shed, I had it set up a little setup in there, back there, where I was sculpting there and it wasn't air conditioned, but it was at least like in some shade and stuff. Again, just taking little balls of Magic Sculpt, rolling them around, punching them down. We'll come back in with some spray water and then turn them into suckers by making them into little donuts real fast. Now, if I could breathe this stuff in and just be fine, I would totally sculpt in the home office. But also mainly because the internet in there is so much better. But we'll see what happens when I drop some Ethernet all the way down here on Sunday and see if that helps out at all. I should have done that when we ran electricity out here. I should have just run it through the conduit that's buried under the ground, but that would have been thinking too far ahead. But doing stuff in 3D uses the brain in a way slightly different than drawing, and it's really fun. I love seeing things start to take shape and come to life. And again, just continuing to make these suckers. Once the suckers are done, it's not going to take too long to start building that out, except for when I start deciding to add in the bits and bobbles from some Gundam kits and stuff to try and make it a little more sci-fi-ish. But I'm hoping maybe I can start doing this every Friday or maybe twice a week, like in the afternoons. It'll depend. Hopefully it'll push me to sculpt way more than I have in the past year, because I feel like I've been missing out a lot on making this type of art. And it'll force me to then use those things in various Patreon releases as well, which would be nice to get caught up on that too. A couple more little suckers on this one, then we'll start adding the little divots and making it pretty. Do any of you watch live videos on Instagram? I'm trying to decide if I start doing this really regularly, if it's worth adding additional channels, because this version of Restream comes with three different channels you can stream to, but you can increase the package and stream to even more. Just curious if I would reach more people that way, or if it's even worth the time and energy. I guess I'm going to have to try and see if I can download this video and add it to YouTube, since it didn't stream to there after the fact. And as you can see, I'm just taking this tool and just jamming it in, spinning it around, and before you know it, you got yourself a sucker. Having a schedule makes the algorithm happy. Yes, it certainly does. My life just has not been good at sticking to schedules recently, but I do need to make a schedule. I mean, scheduling the game nights and the drink and draw nights has been easy, but workday schedules has been far more difficult. And perhaps Friday isn't really the right one once convention time comes around, but when it's not convention time, it makes it easy. Because a lot of times emails and stuff are quieter on Fridays. Once we get these in, we'll do the lip around the edge. A couple more. Come on, suckers. Just gonna hold that tentacle there so it stops wiggling around so much. All right. Now we're gonna do the edge there. Hey, Grace, what's happening? So I'm taking this long strand, just doing a coil, and then I'm going to flatten it out, and then we'll mash it down into this tentacle. It's very sticky. I perhaps need to spray my hands with some water. We'll do that in a second. Just mashing it down and following along the line of the edge of the tentacles. We're going to have some bass come down over that. I'm going to jump this song. There we go. Spraying it down, adding some water. Again, with this one, I'm going to do the same thing where I take the flat tool and just kind of blend this in this way before I start adding the texture that I want in, and blend the two bits of Magic Sculpt together. And once we get this part done, I will pop it off the easel and give you all a up close and personal again of the tentacles. Just going to blend this in a little bit with my finger before adding extra details. And with this, again, using this just kind of sharp piece, I'm going to squirt it down again just to make it so that this tool pulls through the Magic Sculpt nice and easy. It's a little bit harder when my hand has less area to go. That's okay. Just putting these details in so the paint will have some good places to go when it comes time to doing some washes over the dry brushing. And if anybody hasn't seen what this creature is going to be, after I pop this off of here and show you all, I'll also pull down the original blow up of the original drawing that I did Wednesday. So coming in for some detail, you can kind of see the tentacle that we just did. Those suckers in there, they're just rough, and that's okay. And dropping that down real quick. And then this is the elithid type creature that it's based off of from Wednesday. Excuse me for being all up in the camera while I jam that back into my cork board. Come on, fingers. There we go. Just working more work. Thanks. This is just a asking what I'm making. This is just a something that I drew at Drink and Draw on Wednesday night and sculpting it on board so that I can photograph it and turn it into some sort of monster for my Patreon, and maybe eventually put it into some sort of Vasgrim thing. There haven't been any elithids in Vasgrim yet, so maybe it's time. I don't know. And so now I'm going to go ahead and add around this eye here and start to build out the ridge and the brow around here with the Magic Sculpt we have left before starting to mix up some fresh new Magic Sculpt. And I should probably go ahead and do this eyeball that's right there just to give me some foundation of what I want it to be. I'm never really great at sculpting circular objects, which is part of why I use like ping pong ball parts. Spraying it down with some water to smooth it out a little. just let that sit there for a minute. Hope it'll stay. Thank you. You know we want to get up close and personal with the tentacles. Of course you do. And the only live you watch is on Instagram as a friend. That's because they only stream there and on Instagram. Okay, that's fair. Maybe I'd reach a new audience if I started doing it. I don't know. Again, when you have the creases in the gloves or the thumbs and you're smoothing stuff down, you get the creases in the pieces. Okay. And just putting a little bit of a coil around there. We'll smooth it down with some water in a minute. I'm going to wait, let that dry up just a little bit. Let's go ahead and smooth this in. Well, my brain's thinking about other stuff with it. And with the flat blade, with the Magic Sculpt on there, you can come in and go ahead and give a nice, clean eyelid ridge. And while that's happening, let's go ahead and start to build out some of this weird beak-like face. It's going to look weird at first, but don't worry, it'll get there. Hey, Marcus, it was good to see you. Take care of yourself as well. I hope our paths cross again. You know, oh yes. Reading another one. Again, just going to start building up the weird facial area. But this is the last of this Magic Sculpt. We'll lay this down, smooth it out, get some more Magic Sculpting, keep on building. Spray this down a little bit, blend it in with my fingers, and then come in with some tools just to give it some details, just in case that ends up being all that gets added there at some point. Again, I'm going to get the one that looks like a little tiny shovel, though it's starting to get a little bit of a buildup of the Magic Sculpt on it, so I'm just going to scrape it to get it nice and clean. Wipe it on my apron. Spray it down again. We're going to spray down the eye, this one eye as well. I'm just putting some grooves in here. Anytime it starts to pick up a little bit of extra Magic Sculpt, I'm dragging it along with it just so that I don't have it gunking up. Then I'm going to do some deeper grooves in here just to really give some creases for paint to go into. And I think I want to start texturing this part up a little bit. One of my favorite textures that I use is a rock from one of my old previous yards. You can see the buildup of Magic Sculpt on here. So it's not quite as textured as it once was. But that's okay. I'm going to spray this again. I'm just going to mash this down a little bit here. And then when I take this off of here for you to see before I start mixing up more Magic Sculpt, you'll start to see some of the texture that this quickly adds to it. And of course, this looks really weird right now. It doesn't have the right facial structure that it's going to have once it's all built out, but you can still kind of see. Come on, light. Let's see what happens. See, there's some texture in there from mashing down with the rock. just in this area. This eye will start to build up. We'll build this out further, and it will start to come together with the next wave of Magic Sculpt. I probably don't need nearly as much as I used in the last one, so maybe I'll mix up a little less at a time. This I'm about to ruin. I'm getting a much smaller amount for now because I can always mix up more if I need to. Well, no, I'll get a little bit more. I always get more than I need, but that's okay. I'll find a place for it. Oh no, this was hiding out. I'll use that before we mix this up. Okay, I must have coiled this for something, set it on my easel. It's already feeling a little bit drier. I'm just gonna go ahead and turn these into, like, if you look at my drawing, there's a bunch of weird like round bits all around the eye. I'll just do some of those and I'll just start building that up. That'll be a fast, easy way to get this on here, not waste the Magic Sculpt. And when it's not doing detail work, it makes it easier to bounce around to the music. Okay, now I can mix up some more Magic Sculpt. So I already got the resin out. Now I'm going to get some of the hardening agent. Need to get a roughly equal amount of this kind. All right, roughly equal parts. Now I'm going to coil these up and then mash them together until they are one solid unified color. Need to figure out if I'm going to put some of the bits and pieces from the Gundam kits into the face, if I put it into the weird brain thing. Thoughts? Definitely need to do a lot of work on the face to really bring it together. It is ASMR goop sounds. Yes, I do love the sounds of the Magic Sculpt, so maybe I should not talk over it. Get in real close. Do you like it better when the Magic Sculpt comes closer to the microphone or is further away, as the ASMR sounds have been commenting from Twitch versus the Facebook? What is the work time on the stuff? I generally don't like working with it past an hour. It starts to harden up, starts to get tougher to work with, but you can still add water to it and keep going for like 2 to 3 hours usually. And then it's still like, usually 4 hours, I can still accidentally bump into it and put a dent in it. So it just gets harder and harder to pull through. And then once it's all dry, if you want to, you could use like a Dremel and stuff like that to like sand it down and cut into it. But Okay, let's see. We've got to build up around this eye so that I can start to see it together. Ooh. So I'm just going to go ahead and do this. Give him a brow. Her, them, it doesn't matter. They're, who knows at this point. Their story has yet to be written. Although I'm sure they have already lived it. Just put the mic in there and go crazy. Yes. Okay. It's starting to cut. I think this will start to come together soon, especially once we start building up around here, doing more of the head stuff, doing the cheeks, the cheek, and then the jawline. Then have to keep building this up. And building it up more. Then coming in under here. Okay, so I'm just laying Magic Sculpt down to start building up the shapes of the face, knowing that I'm just going to keep adding to it, and it's going to change a little bit as we go. But this starts to give me the foundation of what I'm seeing and what I'm looking for as it starts coming together. And then we'll add texture once I get it all built up and start smoothing it down. I think maybe I'm just going to put the weird stuff in the head. I mean, in the brain area back here. Maybe. I don't know. And again, I keep looking up at the original drawing I did. It doesn't have to be exact. Actually, it shouldn't be exact. The sculpting should take its own form, and the three-dimensionality of it should dictate where Magic Sculpt goes. Because if I force myself to try and stick to the drawing, it'll just end up looking wonky. You keep your weird stuff in the brain area? Yes, you certainly do. I think once we get this area of the head done, maybe even like the jaw that's supposed to, oh no, glove is ripping. Yipes. Once we do that, I'll just start with 2 new fresh gloves. Then we'll start to do textures in here before starting to do the brain area. But as Brandon said earlier, make sure to stay hydrated. Again, if anybody new is watching, if if you're messing with Magic Sculpt, wear gloves. It makes my fingers tingle and not in a pleasant way. Oh no, it's ripping already. Have my hands grown? Have the gloves shrank? I don't know. Maybe my hands are just sweaty from making with the sculpting. These are the normal size gloves I've used. I saw some bright pink gloves, some magenta gloves that I think I need to get next time. I literally just wrote the line, new brain bits, my dude, to refer to a character's cybernetic upgrades. Yes, those are the new brain bits. We are all on the common brain bit wavelength. Again, just add some more Magic Sculpt to this. Maybe I should, come on, tilting it this way, give it a more straight on shot. Is that better? It's a little harder for me, but that's okay. Except for when my foot hits the camera, it makes everybody mad. I saw a bunch of pictures of resin chemical burns the other day while looking at material safety stuff. Immediately ordered more nitrile gloves. Good. That is a good job. Let the burns scare you. Luckily, this is not the liquid resin, so it's not that type of burn, but it's more the slow burn. Okay, I'm going to use spray and a knife to clean what I just put up in there. Just going to get a flat edge. I'm going to give it the definition that I want the edge. Drive you right out of your mind. Do a cut in here to separate the lower jaw. Also, same thing to separate the tentacle. Just coming in, doing some nice little cuts to add some separation that'll make it super easy to separate with painting and make it look like different planes. That reminds me, I need more nitrile gloves. Everybody needs more nitrile gloves. Everybody order some, order them now. Okay, so I'm gonna go and just smooth some, whoa, whoopsies. Need to be mindful that this is resting on another board to give me the height that I need. Okay, I'm just adding some water and smoothing stuff out. We'll come back in with some tools and start making some details in a minute. Just trying to blend some of this Magic Sculpt together. Hey, Brian, don't smash that left eye. What would be the creature's right eye, but left to me. DeVoe. Now you know. Okay, I'm going to spray it again. Then we're going to start coming in with some details and coming in with some grooves into the creature. My head, Mr. Kisser. And again, just bringing some grooves in here to add for some texture and depth for when it's time to paint this up. And I will come back in a few minutes with that rock to add more of a weird natural texture to it. And we'll end up coming back in and adding more of these like little blobule bits because I have those riddled throughout my drawing anyway. And maybe make some of these a little bit sharper, like the drawing. We'll see. A little less soft, a little more fierce looking. Maybe even add some teeth underneath. I don't know. I know. Let's spray that. Let's shape that up a little bit. You got the hot pink ones. This is my fault. Yes, it is my fault. Well done. Now I just need to order some of the hot pink ones. Everyone should be wearing hot pink all the time. Magenta is magnificent. I want everyone looking like they belong in a cartoon. I do not love it yet. I want this to feel more like a weird beak coming off, I think. So I think I need to do a much larger right here. Super laxative. I think this will start to come together better now. And don't get loud. Okay, just sprayed some water on it, going to smooth it down. I'm going to try and bring this down to a little more of a point, blend this together. I see you. Bring these lines together that were already in here. And bring this off of the tentacle. Maybe even give it a little bit of a curve to it. Almost like a little hook. Come on. Okay. I'm bringing this up off the tentacles a little bit, giving it more beak-like of a texture, knowing that when I come back in just a second with the rock to add texture to it, it's going to mash it down. Okay, now I feel like it needs it in other places as well. I will point out that Brian gets a tax deduction on gloves, but so do I. Yeah, taxes, they're the worst. Oops. Ow. Okay, coming in with that one. Then we're going to come in over here one more time. And then I think I'll be happier with the overall mouthy area once we add some real texture to it, of course. And I like that it's looking a little less ellipid and a little more its own thing with these weird bonus tendrils coming off its face. Okay, let's see what happens when we smash it down with a rock and add some texture all up in this. Then we'll start to make some little globules around its face. Rock, where have you gone? Here you are, my friend. So I'm going to start up here. Just start adding a little texture, not pressing down too hard, knowing that this will catch some of the paint when I do dry brushing. Now that I know this is super soft, I don't want to come down too hard on this. Just enough to give it that texture that I want. Even in here, trying to avoid the tentacle-y part. Okay, we've got some texture in there. I'm going to pull this up close and personal to you guys real quick, and then we will start working on the brain space. No, I'll start building out more little warty nubs all over this face. Okay, coming in, wait for the light to adjust. You can see that it's got a little more profile going on. Might be able to see the hook going on the beak, seeing the tentacles in the mouth as it's starting to come together. So sick. Thank you, Victor. I appreciate that. Tongue tickles. Does he get a tongue? I mean, yes, the tentacles are the tongues, as with everything in most creations, you know. I do not think he has even more to give. I feel like he needs some of his jaw under here, but I'm afraid I'm going to screw that up, so I think I'm just going to have to do that with paint, perhaps. And let's see what happens when we start adding some squishy brain bits. This is going to be very thin, I believe, because of I should have done that before doing this, and I may have to build this up even further once I start to lay that down if I feel like it's not, if it doesn't have the right layer of depth to it. But with this, I'm just going to put some Magic Sculpt down and start pressing down with my fingers and start mashing down into the canvas board and dragging it around until I'm happy with where it is. Don't forget, you can always add water to help make it more pliable. Speaking of adding water, let's see what happens when I spray it down and move it around. Again, just using my thumbnail to create hard edges around the outside, pushing things in, moving things together. I think with the brain space area, I'm just going to have to come in and put grooves in there. I don't know. Trying to see if like little bits would make sense going through there, or if I'm just forcing that. I think I may just be forcing that. I think it may just have to be an organic creature, and that's okay. We'll see. Let's keep making the brain bits and then go from there. Things gonna be all. Again, just spraying it down to smooth it out, blend it into things. May even have to come in and I'm definitely going to have to come back in and add to the face layer. Whoa. You see there, Ryan? Smoothing that down. And now I'm going to take the shovel line. Let me get this in where I want it. Need to clean that up just a little bit. Now I'm just going to come in and do some weird brainy type lines. I do not like that. Let's smooth that out. That's not cool. That's not what I want. That's okay. This stuff is still super soft and I can move it around and make it do what I want. Gonna do big weird ridges. That's spray it down again. Because once it gets the moisture on it, it makes it easier for the tools to move through. Then I'm going to separate it out from what was here before to try and give it some additional lines, texture through it. Oh, just taking quick little wispy lines. Just to make sure that this feels very different texturally than the rock stuff that was on before it. And I'll even come back in and we'll build this up even more to give it another layer of definition and depth from there. I think we're gonna maybe bring just a little, no, we'll leave that there. And then we will build the body out or something. Okay, to try and give this a little more depth and separation from the brain space, here we are adding more up here. Then we'll come back in, add similar textures and lines, but at least that way it will add that depth to it that it needs. But one of the things with doing it on board like this, I'll probably paint a lot of the surface of the wood that will end up taking some of the shape and form of the creature versus doing all of it with sculpting. I'm going to build this up more. Okay, let's smooth this out. And come back in with the tool. I'm just pulling these in. It's going to blend them in as I pull the lines in with it. And coming back in with the rock, giving it that texture, smash, smash, smash. But it still now has much more depth off of the back, the brainy type area. And now with what little magic sculpt we have left, I'm going to start to add little round baubles, little moles and wart things that I had in the drawing that I tend to put in a lot of the drawings. Then once I get done with these, I'll pull this down off of the board and show you all what it looks like close up. Back when I first started sculpting, when I was customizing toys, I did a couple of weird alien monies from Kid Robot, where I did a lot of these little weird round blobules. And it's just kind of carried on through a lot of my work over the years. You've come a long way up here. I may even get to a point with this where I just need to let it dry, and I need to get back to making a space station. I thought I'd bring some of the bits into this, but yeah, I don't think I'm going to. Little ones up around here. And I may have mixed up just a little too much Magic Sculpt. So again, just Magic Sculpt's going to stick to Magic Sculpt. By me rolling this in and just smashing it down, it's going to cure to this just fine. There's going to be zero problems at all with it set up. Okay, I've got just a little bit left. I feel like I need to use it in some way. So, nope. Do I make part of the lower jaw down here? If I do that, then I've got to bring it in here. Hopefully this won't screw everything up. Come on, get off of my finger. Get on there. Why are you fighting me, Magic Sculpt? Is my finger too sticky? I think it might be. Let's see. There we go. Okay, adding this kind of lower jaw, lower beak area. Okay, now let's really make it weird. Let's bring some of this up into here. Okay. And this is where it changes from the original drawing to something different, but something that I may not have seen in 2 dimensions, but feels right in 3 dimensions. Okay, again, I need to wet my fingers down or wet this down so that I'm not dragging. Let's see, what do I want? What do I want? I'm just going to take this flat and do some lines up there just to give it a little bit of texture. Make it a little more toothy. Come on, stay up there. Don't fall down. And then maybe a little more right underneath. And where did my rock go? Here we are. Gonna do a little texture right in here. Should have sprayed that. Should have sprayed that. Okay, I can kind of see that. Let's see. Let's spray it. Let's move a little bit of that Magic Sculpt around just a little bit. That's the wrong one. Here we go. Let's pull this up in here just a little bit. Give it a little more form, a little more defined line. Oh. Take a step back. Okay, I think the jaw needs to be a little wider here. I need some water in there. Spray it down a little bit. Come back in, put some grooves in. Then we'll smash it down with the rock again for that texture. Come on, don't fall down here. Spray it down again here. I'm gonna bring some more lines into it. Can't you see? Okay. I think that may be it for this session. Let's see. Let's pull it down. I've got just this little bit of Magic Sculpt. I can just kind of let it be flat, I guess, and do nothing with it. I feel bad leaving it and not doing anything. But that's okay. Sometimes you just have to be done. Let's see. So, coming up close. So it's harder to see when it's all black, but you've got the beak sort of thing, the 3 tentacles coming out, some lower like teethy jaw from underneath, ping pong ball for 1 eye. And then I'll do some weird shoulders and outfit and things like that once I actually paint it up. So yeah, I think that's it. I think it needs to cure up, and I think it needs to be done for the day. So anybody that tuned in on Twitch, anybody that tuned in on Facebook, thank you for tuning in. Sorry that it did not make its way over to YouTube for some reason today. I will figure out a regular schedule for making monsters. If you have questions, feel free to hit me up anywhere. Discord's probably the best, the Grim Place Discord. And yeah, I'm going to keep making weird stuff. And I hope you're out there drawing, crafting, writing, doing something creative, because it's a great way to bring joy into your life. Anyway, thanks y'all for tuning in, and I will see y'all next time.